this case comes to trial. And if there are questions about that, doesn't that lead you to have some suspicion about how this case was investigated?
The options are the medical examiner was that sloppy that he missed something he was looking for, which calls into question other things about the case, or the shirt was tampered with and the hole was added later because it needed to match with the theory that James Jordan was shot.
Thank you, Holly. Murder, mystery, and
This morning, director Matthew Pernice-Sierro and executive producer Shelley Leslie join us to talk all about this documentary. Good morning to you both. Good to see you.
Scene story behind the murder of James Jordan, the father of NBA legend.
All right, so let's start with you, Matthew. Why are we just now getting to the point where this documentary is coming out? Because this has been since 1995 when James Jordan was murdered, but we haven't heard much other than a clip here and there, and then the trial of the two suspects allegedly involved in this murder who were convicted.
The options
Why now?
The medical examiner was that sloppy that he missed something he was looking for, which calls into question other things about the case, or the shirt was tampered with and the hole was added later because it needed to match with the theory that James Jordan was shot in the car.
This morning, director Matthew Pernice-Sierro and executive producer Shelley Leslie join us to talk all about this documentary. Good morning to you both. Good to see you.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so let's start with you, Matthew. Why?
All right, so Shelley, tie all that in, because we heard what Matthew just said, and we heard some of the comments from some of the people in the documentary. When you went back to put this together, the people that you interviewed in the documentary, who are some of the people that you got information from that we're going to see on camera in the documentary?
Why now?
Well, I think the story is as relevant now. There's many themes that we discuss in the series that are very relevant. And I think because of the high profile nature of this case, it was documented to a degree that many other cases where issues like this happen in their investigations, in their trials, are not nearly as well documented. So we really view this case as contributing to a larger conversation about corruption in law enforcement, systemic racism in the criminal justice system, and some really larger themes that are very relevant to what's going on in our country today.
All right, so Shelley, tie all that in, because we heard what Matthew just said, and we heard some of the comments from some of the people in the documentary. When you went back to put this together, the people that you interviewed in the documentary, who are some of the people that you got information from that we're going to see on camera in the documentary?
A few people you heard there in the clip: Dan Wiederer, who is a writer for Chicago.
As far as Michael Jordan is concerned, has he said anything about this documentary? Is he aware of it? Has he said one thing about it, one way or the other, given his stamp of approval, no, or indifferent, or not at all?
Actual innocence, and is the representation for Daniel Green, who is one of the men convicted in this case. We have Johnson Britt, who is the original prosecutor in the case.
Gotcha. Okay. What about, I know that they have been convicted, but James and Daniel, their attorneys or anybody like that in this documentary as well?
In the original trial, the interrogation tapes with Daniel Green and Larry Demery have never been heard before. There's a lot of voices here. Our goal was to tell the whole complete story from all sides and really let the audience be the jury this time on whether correct justice occurred.
As far as Michael Jordan is concerned, has he said anything about this documentary? Is he aware of it? Has he said one?
What is the takeaway in regards to the missteps and the miscarriage of justice that you guys say took place in this trial? That you saw, you learned, or you did this documentary. What did you see in regards to missteps and mistakes that were made in this trial?
I know that
and the investigation
have been convicted, but James and Daniel, their attorneys or anybody like that in this documentary as well?
Yes, well, I think one of the things in this series is Daniel Green did not testify at trial. And Daniel Green's voice is being heard in this series for the first time in many ways. So his attorney as well, Christine Muma from the North Carolina Center for Actual Innocence, is also an interview that's a big part of the narrative in this story. But that's the first time audiences will be hearing that side of the story.
What is the takeaway in regards to the missteps and the
Shelley, last question, quick answer. Did they get the right people in this case, based on what you guys have just uncovered?
You learned, or you did this documentary. What did you see as
Gotcha.
regards
Okay.
to
That
missteps
wasn't it.
and mistakes that were made in this trial and the investigation?
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Appreciate your time on this story this morning. Matthew and Shelley, we appreciate you. Thank you very much. The name of the documentary, the docuseries, Moment of Truth, streaming free tomorrow on IMBD TV.
There's a lot of evidence as it was presented.
Thank you. Coming
from
up,
law enforcement
a
in Robinson
burger
County where
chain
the crime
is
took
thanking
place
its employees
that
in a
has since
big way.
been
The
proven
bonus
inaccurate.
workers at
And those are elements that need to
Whataburger
be
are
looked into.
getting. I'll tell you that and much
when
more coming
questions
up on the
surround
other side of the
case,
break.
Our legal system and our court system needs to look at that again, and that's, I think, ultimately what this story is about, is that there are questions of fact, and those facts need to be analyzed.
Shelley, last question, quick answer. Did they get the right people in this case, based on what you guys have just uncovered?
But then again, though, probably takes longer than that.
Hours to determine.
I thought that too,
Yeah.
but what they
That was a
uncovered.
It was probably,
The audience decide.
yeah.
Okay. all
Because it
right.
was a lot. It's a lot
Appreciate your
to
time
gather
on
all
the story
that.
this morning. Matthew and Shelley, we appreciate you. Thank you very much. The name of
Last
the
year.
documentary.
Yeah.
The documentary
But think about it. They had to,
streaming
like,
free
getting all these
tomorrow on
attorneys, then getting the request to get Green. I think he said Green on camera. And all these people are, well, I guess a lot of them in North Carolina. I don't know where they are now. I know that the prisoners are. But it's just it's a lot. So maybe not.
You don't know me. Probably never will.
But I need you.